અને
Six months in CA we are habit to have aging for 1 year or more than that also. So 6 months may be a normal course of concern as far as the industry is concerned, because the cash flow has been the biggest crunch at this juncture. So you may feel that the 6 months, more than 6 months, four crore is okay, fine. Can be a majority in 8 months, 9 months, or 1 year possibly. However, now if I have to disclose, and if I disclose that less than 6 months 6 crore, 6 months to 1 year, 1 crore, 1 to 2 years, 1 crore, 2 to 3 years, 1 crore, and more than 3 years, 1 crore. Now, when this information has been displayed here, that will really provide a lot of signals to the stakeholders. Now, first thing I will come to mind, more than 3 years, 1 crore rupees. 2 to 3 years, 1 crore rupees. 2 crores are outstanding for more than 2 years. Now, the chances of recovery of these receivables has to be less. So, next point, I will look at the provision amount. When I look at the provision amount, the provision is just 50 lakhs rupees. So, then again, has a doubt that 50 lakhs rupees is just a provision. Plus, when I look at the disputed to undisputed, the all amount is part of the undisputed amount. And then the amount of 50 lakhs is a very less, then probability is very high, where the amount out of 2 crore which are outside for a longer period, the amount recovery can be a lower period. So this will provide a lot of information where the management and auditor has to be very cautious, as this information is going to be out for both years, where the EG will be provided here. So now 6 months to 1 year, 1 to 2 years, 2 to 3 years, and more than 3 years. So this is what is basically extra information which is will be provided in your trade receivable aging. And along with that, you also have to provide the informations of disputed and undisputed trade receivables. So is there any amount of disputed trade receivables? So for example, if there are certain cases where the court case is going on, and if you say trade disputed receivable is here, you may feel it is going to be collectible 100%, you're not provided for. But however, when the users look at the figure of 1 crore out of 1 crore 70 lakhs rupees is a disputed receivables, you're not provided anything, then the chances of recoverability, the question mark will be very high as far as the management is concerned. So disputed considered good, disputed considered doubtful, undisputed considered good, undisputed considered doubtful. This is what the classification to provide for trade receivable aging. And the question which comes to mind is that how to compute aging. So aging is to be computed from the due date of payment. Now, what is due date? I have sold the goods with the credit period of 30 days. So I sold goods on 1st March 2021. So credit period ends on 30th March. So that is what my due date. So the due date is the end of my credit period from which the amount is payable. So from that date, you need to compute the aging. And the standard say either it says that where there are no disclosure, no due date to payment, because in certain cases there is no credit period is mentioned, there is no mention of due date. In that case, the transaction date, that is invoice date, is the date from which you do aging. And if there are unbilled dues, unbilled dues means the invoices are not issued, so it is pending to be issued. However, is amount is receivable. So for unbilled dues, if any, you have to show separately. So complete informations of your trade receivables aging in a bucket wise will be need to be provided as far as this aging schedule is concerned. Let us look at the next point. It is on trade payable aging. So in trade payable aging also, here same way, less than 6 months is not relevant here. Why? Because less than 6 months was critical for receivables which was already there. Under payable, it just say less than 1 year. Then 1 to 2 years, 2 to 3 years, and more than 3 years. From due date aging, you do it. And a trade payment schedule also you to divide into these four parts. One is MSME, others, disputed dues, MSME, and others. Right? So basically, trade payable aging, here again you have to show that what is the amount payable to MSME, and out of the amount payable to MSME, what is a disputed, what is not disputed. Now, what will happen that, for example, there is some cases going on about the amount payable against you, or there is a dispute going on, and in that case, you're not shown as a disputed, and the whole amount will be shown as part of others undisputed amount. So possibly in the future, in the court of case, if financial statements are being brought, which is available from MC website, and where it says that you're not showing as a disputed, that means the amount is payable. So one has to be cautious. I think when you provide these disclosures, every information has the importance. Even if the figure is matching, now just matching the figure is not going to solve your issues. Critical here is that you have to ensure that the figure has to be as per accounts, plus the disclosure should be accurate and as needed as per the intent of the legislature. That is what is the crux of these particular requirements. So here one need to be very sure as far as this aging schedule is concerned, and where no due date of payment is there, right? Where no due date of payment is specified, in that case, from the date of transaction, as we discussed, same way in trade receivables, same way unbilled dues also, if any, you will show separately. So, like trade receivable, there is also need to provide a disclosure on trade payable. So, these both are critical, which includes one of the most important part of collection payable is concerned, which focuses on working capital of the company, and that working capital will be clearly out in your financial statements. Now let us look at one very important thing is on revaluation. Property, plant equipment, and intangible assets. If the PPE and intangible assets are revalued during the year, and the change is plus or minus, revaluation upward or revaluation downward, the change is 10% or more in aggregate of net carrying value of each class of PPE or intangible asset, if it is done, then it has to be disclosed separately. And next important point is that where the company has revalued its property plant equipment, the company shall disclose whether PPE, whether revaluation is based on a valuation by a registered value or not. Because I think we all are aware that there is a separate course on registered RVO, registered valuation officer, and there's the financial assets module, which can be done by ICI, which can be done CA professionals. So whether the revaluation is done by the registered value or not, that information is to be provided separately. If it is not done, you have to provide that this is not done by registered valuer. Now the same information is from CARO 2020. If you look at the last year's CARO 2020, which was issued back earlier than your year end, and then it was effective from 1st April 20 at the time. In the CARO also, they mentioned the same requirement that if the change is 10% or more, or if this revaluation is done by registered value or not, these two information were already there under CARO 2020, which is now deferred and effective from the same year from which the Schedule 3 is effective. Now let us look at the capital work in progress. See, receivable payable is a primary focusing on the working capital part of the company. Just look at on balance sheet point of view. On balance sheet, one of the very important point is also on the capital work in progress. Anybody who has been in touch with or in associated with the large companies who have a lot of projects of capital progress across region, across country, where they have manufacturing plants which is being done, then there are many expenditures which got capitalized in balance sheet. Salary, because any expenditure which are relevant to the project are all capitalized during this phase. So any expenditure which are directly attributable, they are being capitalized as a capital work in progress. For so many years, what happens, the project may be temporarily suspended, or project has been there for 2 years, but now it's accounted for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, but still it is not capitalized and still carry for a CWIP. Now that amount is big, it's huge. No one has idea that what kind of dustbin is this, how much amount is really need to be impaired or not impaired based on the how far old this amount is lying is such a CWIP. So this is to be separately now shown as a part of aging. So it says that for capital work in progress, the following aging schedule shall be given. One, the less than 1 year, 1 to 2 years. So as the same which we discussed in trade receivable, trade payable, obviously in receivable those 6 months was extra, but other than that, in payable less than 1 year, 1 to 2 years, 2 to 3 years, and more than 3 years. So this is the same pattern which you have discussed in receivable and payable, that you to provide a breakup of all your capital work in progress and intangible assets under development, the breakup of the cost, breakup of the amount which is lying in balance sheet, that breakup is to be provided into this strata of classification. And this amount you do again divide by way of the project in
चिंतन भाई, हेलो चिंतन भाई, हेलो चिंतन भाई, I muted everybody, so please you unmute your mic. So you unmute your mic.
हाँ, हेलो।
हेलो चिंतन भाई, अनम्यूट करो ને તમને મેં.
हाँ, कहीं ना क्यों मैं अनम्यूट કરીને મારો અવાજ અવાજ આવે છે?
ઓકે ભાઈ.
Okay, fine. So I think what is done that there's option to mute all. So when the option is mute all, then the speaker was unmuted. So I'm just coming back to what we discussed last time that okay, so to be completed in a less than 1 year. So the project-wise informations where if the overdue is by timelines or is exceeded from cost from original plan, in that case you need to basically to be provide information of less than 1 year, 1 to 2 years, 2 to 3 years, and more than 3 years. And in case if the activity has been suspended, so then you do mention separately because here it is about what to be completed. Now the company says no, it is suspended temporarily. So in that case, you have to mention separately that this is temporarily suspended. So this is what the additional information. And in my view, once CVIP, trade receivable, trade payable, all these three agings are provided in the financial statements, it will definitely be useful in cleaning the balance sheet. The whole balance sheet will be much more cleaner because a lot of things which have been hidden for years and years together, they will all be in the face of the balance sheet, and then there will be a lot of responsibility on the management. The management will see, everybody will see what is being lying therein. So then it will really help to clean up the whole balance sheet. Now, coming to the next point is on the ratios. I think I have taken all these things together as a part of the B to increase the transparency, and there are 11 financial ratios which need to be provided. And as I said earlier, that every informations in Nordstone accounts should have comparative with previous year. So here again, you need to ensure that there is a financial ratios which is provided, and the ratios should have the comparative also available. So the ratios which includes these four are primarily with respect to the current, non-current, and of equity financing. So one is the current ratio, debt equity ratio, debt service coverage ratio DSCR, ROE, return on equity. Then there are four ratios which is with respect to turnover. So as your turnover increase or decrease, what is your impact on inventory? What is your trade receivables? What is your payable and net capital compared to the turnover? That is what is primarily on the second part. And third very important part is on the return. So return on investments, net profit ratios, return on capital employed. So I think these are the three things which are primary with respect to the net profit on margin on as far as the sales and margin on capital employed is concerned. Again, it says that you would also explain that what is the numerator and denominator. So ratios आपने कैसे किया? Because they are not defined ratios. The ratios you go by the general principles of ratios. So when you compare ratios, what was the numerator, what was the denominator, and the numerator denominator has to be provided. And then it says also that if there is any change in the ratio by more than 25% as compared to preceding year, you need to provide explanation reason for such change. जो हम बोलते हैं analytical analysis or analytical review. So analytical review which includes primarily ratio analysis, that is will be definitely part of your financial statements. So let's take a case that my current ratio was 1:1 previous year. Now it is 1.33:1. So it is more than 25% change as far as the previous is concerned. So I need to provide a reasoning behind that. It can be increased or decreased because there's a change is there. So whether it's improvement or decrease, this is not critical. If the change of ratio is more than 25%, you need to provide reasoning behind that. That is what is the new Perusa is talking about. And again, the Caro 2023 says that on the basis, again, see, it's on the basis of financial ratios, aging, and expected dates of realization of financial assets and a payment of financial liabilities, other informations accompanying the financial statements, the auditor's knowledge of board directors and management plans, whether the auditor is of the opinion that no material uncertainty exists as of the date of the audit report, that the company is capable of meeting its liabilities existing at the date of balance sheet as and when they fall due within a period of 1 year from the balance sheet date. So this is what the Caro 2020 requires the auditors to do additional tasks, where you need to look at aging of all agings, expected of realizations, then financial ratios, financial liabilities, and all information is there, and your knowledge about this management, and then you need to focus and talk about whether the company is in a position to meet liability or not. That is what is basically expected from the auditor from these particular things. Now, coming to the next point is on the disclosure of promoters holding. Before I go to the next point, let me just look at if you have any questions, please write in chat box and then we can discuss on the questions. I think there is no questions. Okay, Jay Prakash Bhai has asked question. Jay Prakash Bhai, you can put questions in also all. Which accounting software have auditor facilities? Sir, I think the in India, if you look at the traditional softwares which don't have exactly the features which is in compliance with Companies Act 2013. If you talk about Tally Prime is there, where they are claiming it is in compliance. However, it may not be exactly compliance because they also ask for the extension of date. So exactly in compliance may not be the all softwares, but there are many softwares who will be in a position to provide these features. That is the reason why the time limit is provided for 1 year. If you focus of any cloud-based software like QuickBooks, Zoho, or others,
Hello. Hello.
हाँ जी, हेलो 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 हाँ चिंतन भाई, any issue? हेलो हाँ चिंतन भाई, ના ના ચિંતન ભાઈ લીવ થઈ ગયા લાગે છે. બાકી બધી મીટિંગ લાઈવ જ છે 40. હા હા હા, કરું 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 કરું.
sorry, I think there was some internet issue and then I was log off. I will again join. We'll go back to the original slide where we were there. So coming back to our original discussion, that now let us look at the main two important amendments which is on the closed group related. That is first on disclosure of promoter shareholding, and second is on loans or advances granted to promoters, directors, KMPs, and the related parties. The disclosure of promoter shareholding, I think promoter shareholding, see there is a need to disclose 5% or more. This 5% or more is required irrespective of your promoter or not. But here it says that even if the promoter holds 1%, 0.5%, or 10%, it says you need to disclose promoter shareholding separately in notes and accounts. So when you disclose promoter shareholding, you also have to disclose the promoter's name, number of shares, percentage of total shares, and percentage change during the year. So one has to be very cautious, and you see that anything on the promoters we has to be part of the financial statements when number of shares, percent total shares, and change during the year. What is the percent change during the year? These all are very crucial information for shareholders to know whether the promoter is interested, not interested, what is doing, what is not doing, and who is the promoter who is doing this. So these information need to be provided. What is promoter? Promoter is what is as defined in Companies Act 2013. That is what somebody who has been named as a part of subscriber to memorandums, or somebody which is a part of that particular definition of promoter. These all are part of promoter, and then you need to also mention the name, number of shares, and percentage change during the year. Next very important point is on loans and advances. Under loans and advances, it says that if the loans or advances are made during the year, which are in the nature of loans, are granted to the promoters, directors, KMP, and related parties. So if a loan has been made, now section 185 prohibits giving a loan to directors and the related parties. However, section 185 provides some exemptions and relaxations for giving loan in certain cases. So if the loan has been given by complying with these provisions where it is allowed, in that case you need to ensure that if the loan has been given to them which is repayable on demand and or without specific terms and conditions, then you need to provide what is the amount of loan outstanding, nature of loan, what is the percentage of total loans, and then classification of directors, promoters, KMP, and RP. There is a possibility that many information is already captured by of AS 18 or Ind-AS 23, Ind-AS 24. So even though if something is captured, fine. So that information need not be repeated. But something which is not covered in that accounting standards, that information you need to provide in notes on accounts. Next point is on loan to promoters and related parties. So CAR 2020 also focuses on this thing. It says that where the company has granted any loans or advances in the nature of loans, either repayable. So what we discussed, whatever has been there. See, CAR 2020 was introduced in 2020, in March 2020, and the Schedule 3 is introduced in 21. However, this 21 Schedule 3 was critical for 2020. That is the reason why 2020 was deferred. So here it says that same thing. The responsibility is cast of auditor. First responsibility is on management. They have to disclose. Second responsibility is on the auditor. The auditor need to verify and confirm the compliance of these requirements. Now let us look at the next very important point, and part is on control over property. There are three things which we are going to discuss, which are a new one. One thing is on the details of Benami property held, if any, to disclose. Second is on the relationship with the struck of companies. And third thing is a detailed disclosures regarding a title deeds of immovable property not held in the name of the company. Now let us focus on the first very important point, that is on the details of Benami property. See, there's a Benami Transactions Prohibition Act 1988. If any proceeding has been initiated or pending So there are two things: initiated or pending against the company for holding many property under Benami Transactions Prohibition Act 1988. So in that case, one has to disclose lot of informations. However, this disclosure is applicable only in case if there is something which is initiated or pending against the company. Same way, the carve-out 180, which says that whether the company has appropriate disclosed. Now, in carve-out 180, what it says that it focuses on the auditor to see that the disclosures by the management. I think the focus here is what the auditor has to check, review, and then confirm that the disclosures provided by the management, by the company, whether it is appropriate or not, that is the responsibility cast upon by the government on the auditors. Now let us look at one very important point is on struck off companies. There are many companies which are struck off, and now in case of struck off company, there is possibility that there can be the amount which is receivable or payable. However, no one has bothered to check the companies are struck off or not struck off. For so many years, the amount outstanding is receivable, investment in shares, payable there, all continue for so many years without taking things pain to see that whether company is there or it is all struck off. The list of struck off companies are uploaded on MCA website. Now the duty is cast upon the management to check and see that is there any amount which is outstanding. So balance outstanding with whom? With the struck off company, where you to provide the name of struck off company, and then you to provide the nature of outstanding, nature of transaction. Is it investment? Is it receivable? Is it payable? Shares held by struck off companies? Other outstanding balances to be specified by natures. So nature, breakup of the outstanding by nature, and the name of struck off company, and what is the relationship of this company with struck off company. This has to be provided in the notes on accounts. Next important point is on title deeds of immovable property which is not held in the name of the company. So here it says that the company shall provide the details of all. When I say all immovable property means what? It is a land and building. तो क्या land and building जो है वो land and building are in the name of the company or not? If they are in the name of the company, there is no need to worry. However, if the title deeds of land and building are not in the name of the company, then you need to ensure to provide the more information to the stakeholders, which is a critical things for all of the stakeholders. So what it says that you need to provide these relevant line items. बैलेंस शीट में वो कहाँ पे है? ये जो लैंड एंड बिल्डिंग की बात कर रहे हो जिसका नाम कंपनी का नहीं है वो कहाँ पे है? So is it a PPE? Is it part of investment property? Is it held for disposal? Or it is in some other sections? तो बैलेंस शीट में वो आइटम कौन सी लाइन आइटम में पड़ा है? That line item you to provide. Is it a land or building? That description you to provide. Then you to provide the gross carrying value of these things. किसके नाम पे ये title deed है? In whose name it is hold? Because you are saying it is not in the name of the company. तो किसके नाम पे है? Then and जिसके नाम पे वो promoter है, director है, relative है, कौन है, employee है, कौन है? That you to provide and कौन सी date से ऐसा जा चल रहा है? और क्या reason है कि आपने कंपनी के नाम पे नहीं रखा है और आपने प्रमोटर डायरेक्टर रिलेटिव के नाम पे रखा है. So these information, these things is to be provided as a part of your these requirements of title deeds not held in the name of the company. I think this will ensure that because in many cases what happens that where something happens and there is a need to get the money out of this company, तो क्या होता है सर लैंड तो जो है ना वो डायरेक्टर के नाम पे है. सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज, सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट एसेट्स जो कंपनी के है वो लैंड है और लैंड ही कंपनी का में नहीं होता बिकॉज समटाइम्स डायरेक्टर्स held the land in their name. So these things is crucial when somebody is doing valuation, somebody is doing transaction with any company. They have to be very, very cautious as far as this is concerned. So whether land is named the company or not, this information is to be provided in this schedule. Again, the carve-out authority says that it casts responsibility on the auditors to check and confirm that what is disclosed in financial statements is appropriate or not. So that is what carve-out authority talks about for title deeds. Now let us look at one very, very important points on controls on fund movements. गवर्नमेंट के लिए सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है वो क्या है कि फंड का जो सर्कुलेशन है, फंड जो यहाँ से वहां मूव हो रहा है, whether these all are controllable or not, there is a need to ensure that the funds are moved only for a particular purpose for which it is not been used only for transferring the from A to B, B to C, C to D, D to E, D to F. So this kind of things should not happen. If it happen, it can be clearly visible. That is the reason why they have entered into this very, very important things on the disclosure on a circular movement of fund. Second very important thing is on use of borrowing. Borrowing किसके लिए use हुआ है? The purpose for which borrowing is given has been used. Third thing is that the disclosure when borrowing based on security of assets. आपने working capital borrowing लिया है और working capital borrowing के लिए you take given security of the receivables stock. So then one has to be very careful on the statement that are submitted to the bank. Then comes disclosure in a case of companies are declared as a willful defaulter and the compliance in a number of layer of companies. And these are the five disclosures which are critical, which are very important as far as the controlling over the fund is concerned. Let us look at first very important point is on fund circulations. So where it mentions the things that first, where a company has advance or loan or invested funds. Now the heading is utilization of borrowed funds and share premium. However, please ensure that it is applicable in all cases of fund utilization, not restricted to only the borrowed funds and share premium, because it says that either borrowed fund or share premium or any other source or kind of funds. तो किसी भी तरह का फंड है, not only borrow fund, किसी भी तरह का फंड है, उसका यूटिलाइजेशन में अगर ये आपने लोन दिया है, एडवांस दिया है या इन्वेस्ट किया है, तो फंड की यूटिलाइजेशन हुआ. Either you get a fund as an advance, as a loan, or invested to any other person or entity. Mind well, here the focus is not a company, it says to any other person or entity. It includes an individual, proprietorship firm, partnership firm, LLP, any form of the person or entities. With the understanding, I think this is the heart of this particular, with the understanding whether recorded in writing or otherwise. अंडरस्टैंडिंग है, ओरली हो सकता है. मैंने आपको बोला कि मैं दे रहा हूं किसी को फंड बट किसी और के लिए, तो वेदर रिकॉर्डेड इन राइटिंग और अदरवाइज. जैसे मैंने चावड़ा साहब को फंड दिया और चावड़ा साहब को बोला कि आप चिंतन को फंड दीजिए, चिंतन ठक्कर को, तो जो राइटिंग और अदरवाइज basically then the fund has been given to Chavda sir and the Chavda sir is going to give to the Chintan Thakkar. In that case, the understanding that the fund which is given to Chavda sir is not for him, it is for a third person, Chintan Thakkar. So that is where it requires you to disclose. You to disclose all these things where right. So then it will disclose the date, amount of fund with the details of each intermediary. कौन बीच में है, because क्या हुआ बीच में कौन मिस. For example, I given to Chavda sir for given to Chintan Thakkar and then to give Brijesh bhai, so and then Brijesh bhai to Jaiprakash bhai. So there are a lot of intermediaries involved, like from every angle, that Chintan Patel has given to the Chavda sir has given to Chintan Thakkar, then to Brijesh bhai, then to Jaiprakash bhai. So all these all are intermediary, and that all intermediaries to be provided with the details of ultimate beneficiaries, and then also to disclose one more thing is that whether it is compliance with the preventive money laundering or not. Plus, same way for guarantee, securities or other things for ultimate beneficiary. So this is what it says, that the fund has been given to someone with the understanding that this fund will be given to somebody else. So these cases need to be captured here as part of this disclosure requirements. As I talk about the fund given, same thing for a fund received. So if I have received a fund from anybody with the understanding that this fund I have to give it to somebody else, so then also and we need to disclose in the notes to accounts of all this information. So I hope this particular point is clear. And same way, the Schedule 3 talks about this thing, and auditor amendment rules also says that auditor has to also look at the disclosures and then they to confirm that they are appropriate, not misleading. There is nothing which is which they believe that it is not being disclosed. That is what the auditor also has to check, verify, and report in the auditor's report. Let us look at if any questions are there before I move to the next point. Fine. Glad to have sir. Whenever you put any questions, please put question to all. Sanjay Jain, Sanjay Bhai has a question. Can you please define what is a struck off here? Is it when the MCA takes a decision to see? So struck off can happen by suo moto or it can happen by MCA. So struck off means removal of the name from the ROC register. So that is what struck off. So a company can go struck off voluntarily, or it can be struck off even by the MCA. So all are covered here in the struck off companies. For proper disclosure, do we also have to report if they have issued a GPOA or SPOA in someone's name? Sir, GPOA, SPOA क्या है? मुझे idea नहीं आ रहा है, but can you please explain? Sir, can you write down what is GPOA means? Sanjay ji,
It stands for Special Power of Attorney, General Power of Attorney.
Fine, great. So I think sometimes whatever the nomenclatures are such, but yes, fantastic. If the power of attorney is given in someone's name, so power of attorney, if it is given, it is not. It is called title deeds. The word which is used is a title deed. So, if as far as the title deed is in the name of the company, then you are safe. There is no need to provide additional disclosures. If the title deed is not in the name of the company, then yes, you have to provide this. Jay Prakash Bhai has asked question. Jay Prakash Bhai, I salute to you, sir. आप इतने senior हो, but you have been so much grossly involved in any technical matters, and you are always there to ask a question. When notes on accounts are signed by auditors, it does mean that it is certified by the auditors. Then again, why it is again to be certified through Caro? Sir, बहुत बड़ा technically or very very important question which is asked that so notes on accounts and auditors report. We have to be very very clear that notes on accounts is nothing but the something which is on management. So whenever something is written in notes on accounts, and if you change notes on accounts, and if you don't mention which is critical in your auditors report, the management has done appropriately because the notes on account is a property. It's something which is drafted by the management. If the auditor does not agree with the notes on accounts, and if the management says no, I don't want to keep in notes on accounts, auditor cannot say anything. Auditor can say only in the auditor's report. The notes on account which is drafted and is by the management is the final one technically. So if the auditor has something to talk about, the auditor has only one thing, which is the auditor's report. So that is the reason why the Caro auditor's report is the instrument of the auditor, not the notes on accounts, even though practically it is prepared by or helped by the auditors, but still technically if something happens, then the auditor report has only power, right to change, right to put the comments in auditor's report. That is the reason why the MCM wants the auditor's report to comment in Caro in auditor's report. Kamlesh Bhai has asked question, how to check about fund circulation where we don't have any control over others' book. Kamlesh Bhai, you have validly raised one of the crucial thing. as we talk about fund circulation, it is difficult. However, our responsibility should be limited to our books of accounts and the way this has been done. So understand that, for example, how can I know? I give a fund to ABC. Now ABC has given to XYZ or not, I don't know about that things. However, that's why the reason is that we need to have a corroboratory evidences. We need to look at the way this transaction is happening. If we come across by way of some kind of interaction, some kind of discussions, then we need to go by that. And we can also do some inquiries which is documented. We can also take MRL for certain questions which have some suspicious about these things. We can ask the management, and the management to give response, and that response can be taken as a part of MRL, and that can be one of the very important documents for us for fund circulation. I hope Kamlesh bhai, I understand it's critical, it is difficult, but yes, this is what we can do it. I hope that is okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Let us look at the next improvement. Thank you so much, all of you who have asked the questions, and I want everyone, please feel free. And because Chintan Thakkar, who is the deputy convener, and Chawla ji, convener, they have informed me that they want that this Sunday should be the vibrant one, wherein we all should have more interaction and discussion. Let us look at next point is on the borrowing. Where the company has not used the borrowings from banks and financial institutions for the specific purpose for which it was taken at the balance sheet date. So the company shall disclose the details of where they have been used. So basically, if the borrowing has been done, taken from bank or financial institutions for the specific purpose, और जो पर्पस के लिए आपने लिया उसके लिए आपने यूज नहीं किया है, तो नाउ मैनेजमेंट हैज टू डिक्लेयर बाय देमसेल्व्स कि मैंने लोन लिया है इसके लिए, और जो लोन मैंने लिया बैंक से, मैंने बोला आप इसके लिए यूज करो, मैंने यूज नहीं किया है, तो that information they need to disclose in notes. So lot of things where there is a question mark as far as the character of the company is concerned, there is a question mark as far as the integrity of the company is concerned, and they need to come out with the information where they don't comply with, even though the purpose for which it has been given is different. Trade receivables. So in that case, assets filed by the company with the banks or financial institutions are in agreement with the books of account. See, if you look at the reason, there are many cases where it has been seen that where the company wants a loan, CC limit, CC limit is computed on based on what? It is based on the drawing power. Drawing power is computed based on the submission by the company, submission of stock and debtors. Now the stock and debtors, these figures have been provided falsely with the hope and objective that they can get the higher limit of the CC limit, higher drawing power limit. Now at year end, on 31st of March, they know very well that this is going to be affecting as it goes to be part of balance sheet. So as on year end, everything is done appropriately, but the amount is matching. But during the year, the amount which is provided to bank are not correct with the objective of getting higher limit. So what is happened that when the default happens, then in that case, during the year if the default happens, the all information is provided not in matching with the books of accounts. So that based on that input, it has been clearly laid down that the management has to put information that जब मैंने क्वार्टरली जून क्वार्टर का 30 जून 2021 को जब मैंने स्टेटमेंट भेजा, उस टाइम स्टॉक था 10 करोड़ रुपया, मैंने 10 करोड़ स्टॉक दिया और डेटा रिसर्व दिया मैंने 12 करोड़ रुपया, एक्चुअल स्टॉक मेरा है 8 करोड़ रुपया, और रिसीवेबल मेरा है 10 करोड़ रुपया। तो अगर ये जो डिफरेंस है तो यहाँ पे मैनेजमेंट को नोट्स के अंदर दे देना पड़ेगा कि मैंने जो इन्फॉर्मेशन दिया बैंक को और जो बुक्स में है वो दोनों में डिफरेंस है, और अगर डिफरेंस है देन देयर इज नीड टू प्रोवाइड disclosure with reason thereof. What is the reason why there is a discrepancies? So that is what is the very important thing. It's a check on more. It's a moral check on the company just to ensure that whatever they provide, whatever they submit, it has to be accurate. And same way, there is a responsibility cast upon the auditors in the CARO that whether during any point of time of the year the company has been sanctioned working capital limit in excess of 5 crore. See, CARO में they give responsibility only on the large borrowing where the limit is more than 5 crore. As far as the notes and account is concerned, it is applicable to all companies even though limit is 1 crore, 2 crore, 3 crore, right? So CARO is only when it is more than 5 crore. For other than that, for all working capital limits without any limits, the management need to disclose in notes and accounts that whether the books of accounts are in agreement with the statement which is submitted to the financial statements of bank for the purpose of these things. That is what the responsibility on the auditors. Next point is on the willful defaulter. So where a company is declared a willful defaulter by any bank or financial institutions or the lender, the following details should be given: the date of declaration as a willful default, details of defaults. Willful defaulter means what? A person or issuer which is categorized as a willful defaulter by any bank or financial institutions or consortium thereof in accordance with the guidelines on willful defaulters issued by RBI. So if there is somebody who has been declared as a willful defaulter, then they need to provide the information of date of declarations and details of default. Also, the responsibility is cast upon the auditor in CARO 2020 that whether the company is declared willful defaulter or not, that is to be provided under CARO 2020 for auditors to report. And last point on fund circulation is on layers. It says that compliance with number of layers of company. Section 186 of Companies Act 2013 provides restrictions on number of layers. It cannot exceed more than 2. So here it says that in case the number of layers of investments which is done loans advances which is exceeding more than 2 layers, then you need to provide the name and scene of the companies beyond the specified layers. आज 2 है, कल 3 हुआ, कल 4 हुआ, तो जो भी layers specified हुआ है सेक्शन 46 के अंदर सेक्शन 2 सबसेक्शन 87 क्लोज में जो डिफाइन किया है, तो for every company which is exceeding the specified layer, you need to provide the name, CIN, and relationship to the extent of the holding company that is to be provided as a disclosure. Now coming to the next point, which is on compliance with laws and disclosure. Before that, do you have any questions? Okay, I think there is no further questions. So in case if you feel there are any questions, please feel free and you can write in chat box. Coming to next point, which is on compliance with laws and regulations and disclosure thereof. Now here there are 5 points which focuses on first. It says that compliance with approved scheme or arrangement. If there is a scheme or arrangement which has been approved, and then is it compliant or not compliant? Second thing is on registration charge. So other registration charge pending है, आपने उसको नहीं किया because these are the things which are very critical for the banks, financial institutions when there is a point whether there is issue of the collection of money. जब money collection करने जाते हैं तब मतलब charge register हुआ ही नहीं है. So that is a crucial thing which is mean that now responsibility is cast upon the management to disclose कि ये हुआ कि नहीं हुआ है. Then comes disclosures of regarding corporate social responsibility. Then details of cryptocurrency or virtual currency, and then there is details of undisclosed income. So these are the few things which are critical to be mentioned and disclosed in notes and accounts. First very important point is on the compliance with approved schemes of arrangements. तो यहाँ पे ऐसा कहा है कि अगर कोई स्कीम ऑफ अरेंजमेंट है जो कंपनी ने when it is approved by the authority, तो whether the accounting is done appropriately as per scheme, तो स्कीम अमलगमेशन स्कीम है और अमलगमेशन स्कीम के साथ में जो लिखा है इस तरीके से उसको मैंने अकाउंटिंग किया या नहीं किया बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स के अंदर. और सेकंड थिंग इज दैट आई आल्सो नीड टू मेंशन द फैक्ट दैट is my accounting is done in accordance with accounting standard or not. So one need to provide the compliance of the recording or accounting as per the scheme if it is being approved, or and compliance with accounting standards. और अगर ये दोनों में कहीं पे डेविएशन है, कहीं डिफरेंस है, तो वो आपको एक्सप्लेन करना पड़ेगा अंडर डेविएशन. Now coming to very important part on charge registrations. देखो charge registration में ऐसा है कि charge registration is very crucial for the bank and financial institutions when they provide loan, and they need to ensure that it is being registered appropriately. But now this responsibility is cast upon the management. Management they have to themselves say that जो charge register करना है वो register हुआ है कि नहीं हुआ है. और अगर चार्ज रजिस्टर हुआ था, लोन मैंने भरपाई कर दिया है, लोन आउटस्टैंडिंग नहीं है, देन आल्सो नीड टू फाइल अ फॉर्म ऑफ सैटिस्फैक्शन ऑफ चार्ज. वो इंपॉर्टेंट है बिकॉज़ देयर आर टू स्टेक होल्डर्स. फर्स्ट स्टेक होल्डर है जो इसने लोन दिया है, लेंडर्स, बैंक्स और फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशन. सेकंड स्टेक होल्डर इज द इन्वेस्टर्स. नाउ अगर आपने और चार्ज रजिस्टर नहीं किया है, द फर्स्ट स्टेक होल्डर इज बीइंग सेइंग दैट व्हाई यू नॉट डन दैट. आपने लोन लिया था, चार्ज रजिस्टर किया है, बट लोन वापस करने के बाद आपने उसको सैटिस्फैक्शन नहीं किया है. सो सेकंड स्टेक होल्डर दैट इज व्हाट, दैट इज इन्वेस्टर्स, दे आर एट रिस्क. सो हियर इन द बोथ केस इट सेज दैट whether any charge or satisfaction is yet to be registered. अगर हाँ ऐसा है तो आप उसका डिटेल्स दीजिए, and you also have to explain the reason why it is yet to be registered. So this is what basically the duty is cast upon the auditors, the management to provide disclosure in the notes and accounts. Now coming to CSR. CSR has the tremendous changes. आप देखो लास्ट 6 महीने से CSR के ऊपर इतने सारे अमेंडमेंट्स हो रहे हैं. CSR रूल्स मॉडिफाइड, CSR के साथ में जो भी एंटिटी थी, जो लोग ये CSR काम कर रहे थे, हर एक के ऊपर इतने सारे रिस्ट्रिक्शन दे दिए हैं. Every entity who wants to enter into the CSR activities, they have to ensure they do register themselves and ensure compliance with requirements. Plus trust, उसके पर change registrations, so a lot of things. Because जब गवर्नमेंट ने ये नया रूल लाया तो गवर्नमेंट का ऑब्जेक्टिव ऐसा था कि they want to ensure that the money should be spent by the corporates on a corporate social responsibility, and the needy people, the persons who really deserves these things should receive the money. However, what happened that the real objective of the needy which is to be benefited was not actually achieved in totality. In many ways, the money was circulating back to the promoters, back to the company. The regulations, rules were there. How they have been manipulated, they were misused, and the many negative things were happening. So there's a need to ensure the real objective for which this CSR tourism was being introduced, it need to be achieved. So first thing is that there is need to tightening the bottlenecks. The disclosure requirements in the data's report has been increased tremendously. Now, by Schedule 3 amendments, they are also required to disclose in notes to accounts. तो नोट्स में आपको दिखाना है क्या, अमाउंट रिक्वायर्ड टू बी स्पेंड, अमाउंट ऑफ एक्सपेंडिचर इनकर्ड, शॉर्टफॉल एट द एंड ऑफ ईयर, प्रीवियस ईयर शॉर्टफॉल्स, रीजन फॉर शॉर्टफॉल, नेचर ऑफ सीजनल एक्टिविटीज, reduce RPT. So this all information you need to provide also in a notes to accounts. There are also information which is to be provided under board of directors report. Plus there are also many things which are about registrations by these particular entities. So a lot of things are there, and one very important thing as far as CA is concerned, that is on the compulsory requirement of CSR spending. Earlier it was a case where it was a spend or explain was the norm. means either you spend, and in case if you are unable to spend, you need to explain the reason or disclose in data's report. It was spend or explain. Now it is moving change with CSR amendment rules that the spending of CSR is compulsory. It is a mandatory that CSR जो आपको करना है 2% of average NP वो आपको करना ही है. अगर आपने स्पेंड नहीं किया है तो अनस्पेंड अमाउंट जो भी है वो आपको प्रोविजन करना पड़ेगा. So 3-4 days back only, the ICI has issued a frequently spending account where it is clarified that the CSR amount when spent, it should be accounted in books of accounts, and if it is unspent amount at the reporting date, you need to create a provision for unspent amount. So now the CSR has moved from disclosure to the compulsory requirement, and there are a lot of restrictions on just to ensure that the CSR money really reaches to the needy persons who really require. Okay, that is what. Then there is also obligation or auditor. कोई बाकी नहीं है, सबको CSR में ले लिया है. Everyone who is connected with the company, everyone who is connected with the CSR activities, everybody need to disclose. पहले आया था बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स रिपोर्ट, फिर आया नोट्स एंड अकाउंट्स के अंदर, उसके बाद बेसिकली क्या आया, उसके बाद ये आया कि ऑडिटर को भी कामों में डालना पड़ेगा. एंड देन ऑल ट्रस्ट टू बी रजिस्टर्ड, ऑल CSR activity who is rendering they to register, they to file a report, and filing compliance is there. So this is what, and I can see that there may be many rules regulations which is going to affect CSR are to be launched and coming very soon, because government is very serious about the CSR. A real use of CSR, that is the critical for the government. Now coming to the next very important point is on cryptocurrency and basically virtual currency. So the details of cryptocurrency or virtual currency. Cryptocurrency, देखो अभी cryptocurrency, virtual currency is a very new word. इंडिया में वो अभी regulated नहीं है. इंडिया में it is not something which is allowed. Still, government is proactively working, and they Schedule 3 में वो भी डाल दिया कि अगर आपने cryptocurrency में, virtual currency में कंपनी ने ट्रेडिंग किया है या इन्वेस्टिंग किया है, तो वो चीज आपको दिखाना पड़ेगा. So what it says that whether the company has traded or invested in a cryptocurrency or virtual currency during the financial year, then the following shall be disclosed: profit or loss on transactions, and what is the amount of currency held. ये दोनों चीज आपको दिखाना पड़ेगा. अगर कोई कंपनी ट्रेडेड और इन्वेस्टमेंट करती है तो उसको ये दिखाना पड़ेगा. प्लस अगर आपने डिपॉजिट और एडवांस लिया है किसी से फॉर दिस पर्पस कि मुझे ट्रेडिंग और इन्वेस्टिंग क्रिप्टो करेंसी में पैसा लगाना है, तो आपको उसकी भी अमाउंट और उसका भी इंफॉर्मेशन आपको डिस्कस करना पड़ेगा कि ये अमाउंट मैंने लिया था फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ ट्रेडिंग और इन्वेस्टिंग इन क्रिप्टो और वर्चुअल करेंसी. अब बात करें अनडिस्क्लोज्ड इनकम की. अगर ये ईयर के अंदर if there are any transactions which is not recorded in books of accounts, that is surrendered or disclosed as income. तो अनडिस्क्लोज है मींस आपने वो ट्रांजैक्शन अकाउंट नहीं किया था, बट आपने उसको सरेंडर किया इनकम को, या आपने डिस्क्लोज किया इनकम में ड्यूरिंग द ईयर, तो वो केस में आपको ये दिखाना पड़ेगा, ये लिखना पड़ेगा कि whether the previously unrecorded income and related assets have been properly recorded in the books of accounts. तो जो भी अनडिस्क्लोज था अभी आपने उसको प्रॉपर्ली उसको रिकॉर्ड किया है कि नहीं किया है, that has to be provided as a disclosure in notes and accounts. सेम वे ऑडिटर्स पे रिस्पांसिबिलिटी डाल दिया है कि अगर कोई ट्रांजैक्शन को रिकॉर्ड नहीं किया था, उसको सरेंडर किया है, तो प्रॉपर रिकॉर्ड हुआ कि नहीं हुआ है, that has to be verified and confirmed by the auditor in CARO 2020. We will go to the next small things on presentation that we will look at if there is some question or in chat box. Jay Prakash bhai has asked question, as discussed, some of the notes covered in the Schedule 3 are not company related CARO requirements, and if auditor is not in agreement with notes, then as understood, it is to be reported in a main audit report. Yes, sir. अगर कारों में कोई स्पेसिफिक रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं है और आपको लगता है कि दिस इज समथिंग व्हिच इज मटेरियल, you can definitely report in your auditor's report. So wherever you feel there's a non-compliance of accounting standards, there's non-compliance of some reporting, it is to be part of main audit report. So the main audit report and the annexure to audit report, the audit report is only document where we have right to mention, and everything else is not our reporting, it is the reporting of management. So wherever you feel something is not done appropriately, it is material, you should definitely disclose in auditor's report. Now coming to the next very important point is on presentation related changes. So where there are 5 small points which is focusing on this. One is rounding off, then there is a presentation of PP intangible assets, then there is a classification of current maturity long-term borrowing, then deposits and a grant. First point is on a rounding off. Rounding off, the criteria of rounding off, that is what the less than 10 crore and 10 crore, 100 crore more, less than 100 crore and 100 crore more, that is same. उसमें कोई difference नहीं है. The only difference is that the earlier rounding off was optional. Now rounding off is a mandatory. So rounding off is a compulsory now. If your total income is even 1 lakh rupees, you know, round off to the near. So I have seen in private companies, a lot of companies, the management wants it to fulfill. Now it is a full figure rounding off. So in case a total income is a less than 100 rupees, then the rounding off is to nearest hundreds, thousands, lakhs or millions or decimal thereof. And if it's 100 crore or more, then it is the to nearest lakhs, millions or crores or decimal thereof. So that is what one very important change as far as rounding is concerned. राउंडिंग ऑफ आने में एक सबसे बड़ी दिक्कत क्या है मालूम है? दिक्कत ये कास्टिंग का इशू है. मैंने राउंडिंग ऑफ कर दिया पर टोटल मैच नहीं हो रहा है. I still remember my days where I was working in large CA firms where the rounding was done. So nights and nights you've been spending at the end for just to ensure that casting सही होना चाहिए. कास्टिंग करते करते दिमाग खा जाता है. यहाँ चेंज किया तो वहां करना है, वहां से. Let us look at now balance sheet. Balance sheet में क्या था कि पहले था heading था property plant equipment और उसके नीचे था PPE intangible assets. अब property plant equipment heading है, उसमें how can you have sub heading as intangible assets? So that is the technical issues. Now it is rectified. It is mentioned that that's what the heading of the everything. Now one very important point is the current maturity of long term borrowing. मैंने टर्म लोन लिया है जो 6 साल का टर्म लोन है और वो 6 साल का टर्म लोन में there is certain amount which is to be payable within 12 months, which is called current maturity of long term borrowing. So that current maturity of long term borrowing was shown as a part of other current liabilities. However, now shown as a part of short term borrowing. So current maturity of long term borrowing you have to show as a part of short term borrowing. And security deposit which are long term, which was shown earlier as part of long term loans and advances, now it is to be shown as part of other non current assets. Profit and loss. What see, I